Hey, vinyl community and Beatle fans. Today I am going to be talking about what I consider to be one of the Beatles' best albums, and certainly the best album of 1964, the Beatles' Rubber Soul. This is the American copy, and the British version of that album. Now, the debate has always been which is the better album, the UK version, how it was intended by the Beatles, or Capitol's vision for the Rubber Soul album. And I hope to, at least today, make the argument for what I consider to be the best one, and I hope to be as objective as possible in compiling that information to help make that decision. Whichever one you choose, there's no right or wrong answer. Everybody's got their own, opinion about which one is better. But anyway, I want to start by talking about Rubber Soul. It was released both in the UK and the US. In the UK, it was released on Parlophone, and in the US, it was released on Capitol Records on December 3rd, 1965, which is actually the same day that the single Day Tripper and We Can Work It Out were released, and it reached number one in both countries. Recording for Rubber Soul began on October 12th, 1965. The sessions for the album were held over a 13-day period. And actually, they took a break from the recording of Rubber Soul to receive their MBEs at Buckingham Palace on October 26th from Queen Elizabeth II. There were several new instruments that the Beatles used that they never used before on an album. There was the sitar, which was featured in Norwegian Wood. There was a Fender Stratocaster that George had just recently purchased, which is most prominent on the lead guitar part for Nowhere Man. Paul got a new Rickenbacker 4001 bass. Paul used a fuzz bass for the first time on Think For Yourself. And the harmonium, an organ, was used on The Word, which was actually played by George Martin. Now, in terms of the songwriting, there's interesting songwriting topics and themes on this album. Paul wrote 3 songs during these sessions that convey a relationship strained by miscommunication. There is We Can Work It Out, You Won't See Me, and I'm Looking Through You. And most people agree that the relationship he's talking about and speaking of is his relationship with Jane Asher. They were engaged at one point, and then they broke it off. And then, of course, as Beatle historians know, Paul ended up marrying Linda Eastman. Now, John's compositions, none of them are straightforward love songs. You have Norwegian Wood, which is about a failed attempt at a one-night stand. You've got Nowhere Man, which is a song conveying John's insecurity and self-loathing, the destruction of ego that he learned after taking LSD. Girl is a description of John's ideal woman, and it actually bears a striking similarity to his future wife, Yoko Ono. In My Life is a nostalgic longing for the past and reminiscing about family and certain places from his childhood. Run for Your Life is told from the perspective of a jealous lover, and John was not a fan of that song. I think in later years he kind of came to regret the misogyny of that song, but none of them were just your We're in Love, Isn't It Great, and We Feel Fine kind of a song. There's all those complications going on in the lyrics of the particular song. Now, for both the UK and the US version, the songs that they share are Norwegian Wood, You Won't See Me, Think For Yourself, The Word, Michelle, Girl, I'm Looking Through You, In My Life, Wait, and Run For Your Life. Now, the side A opener is different on both albums. On the original British version, it is Drive My Car, and on the American version, it is I've Just Seen a Face. So which one is better? Obviously, Drive My Car is a fantastic song. I think it's great. It's definitely, it shows the influences of like Wilson Pickett and the Motown Stax sound, which was really big during that time. But the I've Just Seen a Face is such a great folk rock classic. Definitely you've got some Bob Dylan influence there, but also You've got the influences of the folk scene. So which song is a better opening track? Now, I've Just Seen a Face, I think, is perfect if we're going to consider Rubber Soul a folk rock album. And Drive My Car is a great opening track on Yesterday and Today. So Drive My Car was always meant to be an opening track, and I think it does it well, but I think it fits better on Yesterday and Today, which is more rock influenced, more rock oriented album. There's more rock and roll songs on there, just a few ballads, whereas this, there's definitely more of an acoustic flavor to it, and I think I've Just Seen a Face kicks things off perfect for Rubber Soul. Now, interestingly, the side B opener are different on both albums. Here on the British version, or the American version, you've got It's Only Love, and on the British version, What Goes On. Now, for me, it's no contest. I've never been a huge fan of What Goes On. It's fine, but I really think It's Only Love is a much better album opener. Of course, It's Only Love was on the B-side of the UK Help album, but because they were recorded so close together, they really sound like that song sounds like it could have fit on either album. But I like it as the opening track on the side 2 of Rubber Soul much better than the What Goes On. And again, I think What Goes On fits better on Yesterday and Today. Now, the remaining songs, which are UK only tracks, or only on the UK version of the album, are Nowhere Man and If I Needed Someone. So it really becomes a matter of, is there addition by subtraction? By getting rid of Nowhere Man from side 1 and If I Needed Someone from side 2, does the album flow better? Does it fit together overall as an album? And I'm gonna, for the purposes of this video and the purposes of this argument, I'm gonna push aside the fact that the British Rubber Soul was the way the Beatles intended this album. And just from the perspective of which album is a more enjoyable listening experience, is there more continuity from start to finish? And I have to say, as much as I like Nowhere Man and as much as I like If I Needed Someone, those were both put on the Yesterday and Today album. And I really feel like they belong there and they fit better in terms of continuity of an album. Not that Rubber Soul is a concept album, but just as far as a feel, an overall feel for the album, I feel like Rubber Soul is better off without Nowhere Man and without If I Needed Someone. They're just a little more electric, and I feel like the acoustic editions of I've Just Seen a Face and It's Only Love really help tie this album all together. And I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's just the way I feel about it. And I've tried to put aside the fact that this was the album that I grew up with. This was the track listing for Rubber Soul that I grew up with. But to my ears, it's just a more enjoyable listening experience with the additions of the 2 tracks from Help, which again were I've Just Seen a Face and It's Only Love, and the removal of the 2 tracks that would wind up on Yesterday and Today, Nowhere Man and If I Needed Someone. So you may agree, you may disagree, and that's the great thing. I am not saying by any means that definitively this is the better album, just to my ears and to my taste. And I tend to think too, most people who grew up listening to this album in North America and knew this track listing probably prefer this album. And I would totally understand if those of us from the UK much preferred the British version of the album. But to me, trying to be as objective as I can, that's the way I see it. No matter which version you use, Rubber Soul is a fantastic album and one of the Beatles' best. So that's my take on it. Just a quick little video about that. And as always, I appreciate your comments and thanks for watching.